The lungs of the earth are going to be given back to it, which is all these trees and all of these flowers, and there's going to be a whole total different vibration.
The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice in thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fellow is come up against us.
Because the Lord is going to restore everything. You're going to have a total different vibration on the earth, a total different smell. You're not going to be walking down the street and smell shit and piss, and no foul odors or nothing like that, because the lungs of the earth are going to be given back to it, which is all these trees and all of these flowers, and it's going to be a whole total different vibration. You're going to see the aura and how things are going to change and how elevated things are going to be. Our senses are going to be heightened, Everything about us is going to be glorified.
The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice in thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fellow is come up against us. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. All right. And what I want to go into today is she might be on to something, and this is a video, that was put up by the beloved brother Yaqub, the hopeful elect 3, subscribe to the channel, be informed, be up to date on the happenings. And he played a video, she looks like an Edomite, possibly could be a Jake, who knows, but she hints at a few things, dealing with Jake, hence, the title of the lesson, she might be on to something. Okay. So you read in the book of Hosea, chapter 1, verses 10. All right. Yeah, Hosea 1-10, it said, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power. Okay? Because the spirit of Israel is heavy in the earth. The Lord has awakened, his people in these latter days, as he's getting ready to judge, all right, Esau, Edom, these heathens, and the wicked of our people. But he's getting ready to deliver his elect. The Lord is getting his sons in order. Yahweh Shema Shai is getting his people in order, all right, for deliverance. There's a remnant that he's putting in order for deliverance, man. So the spirit of Israel, the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, is beginning to dominate the earth. And even if people can't explain what's going on, there's a shift in the air. There's a change in the air. Okay, and that Christianity has been ousted. Because Christianity has been, a stronghold for our people for a long time. Okay, Christianity has been, shackles on the mind, of the tribes. Okay, for centuries, man, going back to the plantations. You see, and one of the main things, that this truth, has torn down was the lie of Christianity. Because in the clip, she's gonna go into how, she's seeing the lies of the church, but she kind of lost or what to pivot to from there, you know. And the church is constantly being ousted every day, and the church is the reason nobody understands the Bible, and the church is the reason why people are just atheists, man. Okay, because of the Christian doctrine and how it's so contradictory and changing and flawed. Okay, when you put it to the Bible, that a lot of people just leave okay the Bible altogether, which the Lord set that up as a snare for them to be judged as well. Okay, but nevertheless, when you go here, let's get this in 2 Corinthians 2:10. You know, because Christianity. All right, let's go here. All right, 2 Corinthians 10:4. It says we use the Most High's mighty weapons, not worldly weapons, to knock down the strongholds of human reasoning and to destroy false arguments, man. Okay, so the Lord has awakened His men, through the Holy Spirit, with the truth and His understanding. All the reasonings that Esau pushed as a belief system has been challenged, okay, and being destroyed. Okay, Christianity has been completely destroyed. All right, Christianity is the worst representation of the Bible on the earth, man. Okay, so human reasoning and these false arguments, which Esau used to run the world, and that's the way he keeps Jake in the dark. All right, because these devils know that we're special people. These devils know that we're chosen, the people that run this society, that run the earth. Okay, the higher ups. Okay, these elite banking families. Okay, the super rich. Okay, the politicians. All right, they know exactly who we are. Okay, and one of their main objectives is to keep us separated from who we are. Okay, because they know that there's a power, okay, behind who we are. And the hatred that Esau has, it goes back all the way to the birthright, man. Okay, and the Lord had to play out, which we'll get into it. The Lord had to play out in their format, okay, in their way for the sake of controversy, man. Okay, the Lord wanted to be exactly how it is now. He wanted these devils, to be our arch rivals, our arch nemesis, okay, leading up into the time of Yahushua, the second coming. Okay, and that's why Yahushua, he's going to deal directly with you Edomites when he returns. Okay, so what we're seeing happening, as the false arguments are being destroyed, people are beginning to look at things through different lenses. Okay, the scriptures say, let's get this in the book of Habakkuk. Habakkuk 2:4, it says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Okay, so this devil's spirit, okay, is not upright in him. All right, and that's been put on the forefront. All right, but you have the just, okay, the remnant of Israel that's living, by faith. Okay, and as let me go here, as we teach, and our people, all right, are converting back to who they truly are, okay, and not, living based by these bywords given to us by the enemy, Esau, Edom, okay, where their light is starting to shine in the earth, okay. Habakkuk 2:14, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, Yahweh by Shemal Shah, as the waters cover the sea. Okay, so there's things that's becoming common knowledge now. The tribes, all right, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans being, the tribes of Israel. Okay, and going to the prophecy of the Bible, certain things are becoming, common knowledge. Okay, Esau, Edomite. All right, the so-called white man, woman, and child is now being called Edomites. That's becoming common knowledge, man. So the truth of the Bible is beginning to cover the earth. Okay, and it's just going to continue on until the Bible runs the earth under Yahweh Shai. You see? So the glory of the Lord, his people, all right, are beginning to shine brighter and brighter. And that's a major, a major disruption, in Esau's kingdom. Okay, Esau needs us to be niggas and bitches and hoes, wetbacks and engines, and he needed us to be there forever. Okay, that's what Esau needed us to be. Okay, and his social construct for his world to function, we need to be niggas. We need to be inferior. We need to be, 3/5 of a human in order for his kingdom to function properly, man. Us waking up to who we are is a major disruption to this nigga's kingdom, man. Okay, and it's coming out that they ain't right. He pushed all this slander and propaganda, to demonize Jake, and push himself as, the standard of morality, the standard of righteousness, and the standard of civilization, But now it's coming out that this nigga ain't right, man. Okay, on a whole nother level. And the Lord got to where this nigga got to expose himself to try to save face, man. Okay, showing you that this devil is being backed into a corner. All right, so this is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14. It says, ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on the hill cannot be hid. Okay, so there's a remnant that's a light, in the world. Now, beginning with the world of Israel, all right, because the remnant are coming to their light. As we teach this gospel, we're like that light shining on the hill. As we openly teach this word, okay, as a collective, the true, prophets whom the Lord, ordained to teach his word in truth and in sincerity, collectively us teaching his word is like turning on the light on the hill, okay, and the remnant are able to come to their light and be led, all right, and begin to see out of darkness, man. Okay, the darkness of this world, So this word going forth amongst, all right, the prophets, man. Okay, the teachers, well, it's becoming a light. Okay, and it can't be hid. Esau can't turn the light off, man. That's what he wants to do more than anything, turn off the light of the prophets, but he can't. It cannot be hid. It said, neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it give it light unto all that are in the house, man. Okay, and it's the house of the elect, the house of David. Okay, are being enlightened by this word. Okay, and people are beginning to see that light in the house now. Okay, Esau, he wanted to keep us in complete darkness. Okay, to where he was able to control the narrative of who we were and our behavior, and scientific racism have us down to a whole theory, a scientific theory. Okay, the less, the inferior, they can't do this, they're inherently wicked, they're inherently violent, they can't comprehend like Like the white man, all this BS, man. Okay? Well, the light is starting to overpower darkness, man. Okay, and that's what got this nigga exposed, and this is what got this nigga scrambling, man. Okay? Now, let's go from there. I want to play this clip real quick. You know what I'm saying? She might be on or something. And it seems like she's sincere. She might be a Jake. She speaks about her biracial children, but who knows? Well, let's go into it, and we'll get some precepts, to deal with her. You can tell she's won't answer. Well, the scriptures have all the answers. All right, the scriptures thoroughly break it down. This relationship, okay, between Jacob and Esau, so-called white men in the tribes. Okay, so let's play this.
I would ask my people of color to stick with me for just a minute because I want to ask you a question. I'm probably going to sound really stupid. So please, if anything I say sounds offensive, it's not meant to be offensive. It's because I'm learning and I don't have the correct vocabulary. So if you haven't followed me, I'm an attorney. I've worked in the criminal justice system. I know there's systemic oppression. I have seen it. I have fought against it. I have children who are biracial, and I have seen how people look at me when I walk into the store with my daughters versus without my daughters. I've seen it. I know I only have just the slightest idea of what my people of color have gone through over the years, but I know that it's real. But I also know that I don't know very much because I was raised the privilege that this skin and my blue eyes allowed me to have, and school was easy for me. So I didn't have trouble in school, so I was able to be educated. All the privilege that comes with that I now acknowledge that I didn't even know what it was until really I started opening my eyes to it in Black Lives Matter and realizing how bad systemic racism is across the board. But I have an idea, and again, I'm probably going to sound stupid because I bet you guys have known this for centuries, that the reason that Black people especially and have been persecuted is I think you guys have some stuff that we don't have. I mean, I think you may have some power. I don't know what else to call it. Spiritual closeness, something that I've been a person of faith my whole life, and I love Jesus, and I've always sought after Jesus, but my whole religious foundation is crumbling because I'm seeing all the lies in the church. I still have Jesus and what he taught. But is there a place you guys could point me to try to read about that, to learn about that? Am I off base, or I know I'm probably so late to the party and y'all probably are going to think that I'm ridiculous, but I want to learn. I want to do better. And I can't do better unless I learn better. And I want to learn for my friends and for my country and for my children. So if there's truth to that you guys know of, that there's somewhere you can point me, books or somebody to follow or study, I want to try to learn to see why is it that Black people have been singled out for hundreds and hundreds of years. Y'all got something special that they're trying to take away? I think that may be part of it. Do I sound crazy? I don't know anymore. The world just seems so crazy that I'm questioning everything, but really there's got to be a reason. And it's got to be something that you've got some power that they want to take away, right? Or is it something else? Tell me if I'm off base. And I know it's not your job to teach me. I know it, but I do need some help getting pointed in the right direction because I have no idea where to even go to research this. So thank you. Go love your neighbor.
going back to the title of the lesson, she might be owning something, So she questions why are these people singled out? She's a lawyer, so she's seen the systemic racism, of the system, and the devil goes out his way, to suppress us, as a people. Well, it goes back to, all right, the origin story dealing with Jacob and Esau, okay? And the Lord created this rivalry for his purpose, okay? This rivalry goes back to the womb, all right? And the Lord created this rivalry between these two nations of people, and how everything played out with the birthright. Well, the Lord wanted to play out exactly like that for his purpose, for his will, okay? Now, when you go to the book of Genesis 25 and 21, it says, and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived, and the children struggled together within her. If it be so, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. Okay, so you go here, because it said the children struggled together within her. All right, and there was tension in the womb. Okay, let's go here. All right. So in the Hebrew, it look like ratazas. Okay. It says to crush. Okay. To oppress. You see, to crush in pieces, to grievously oppress. Okay, and that's the energy between these two nations is to grievously oppress one another. Okay, and that's why who's ever in rulership, the other will be grievously oppressed. King David, had these devils, okay, in submission. You see, then they got the ups, when they was the Greeks, okay, and then during the Dark Ages we had the ups, okay, what they call the Dark Ages. You see, and then the Renaissance, when they came back into power, they got the ups, and we began to be grievously oppressed. And see, they've been up since then, the Renaissance. Okay, but this just been the ongoing rivalry, all right, between these two nations. Okay, grievously oppressed. Maybe we can just go into the history one of these days. Okay, Amalek. The nigga was always a demon. You see, won't let us go past, the King's Highway. So there's this rivalry goes back to the womb, when it played out in the earth between two nations of people, Jacob and Esau. All right, the so-called white man of the day. See, when you understand, the dynamic of Jacob and Esau, when you understand who those characters are in real time today, a lot of things make sense. Okay, why just this, over the top hatred, all right, between these two people, okay, and why Esau, he's bitter, okay, because of their birthright. See, the elites know about the birthright. When she talk about systemic racism, well, the elites, okay, and the higher ups of the society, they set up the system, okay, to grievously oppress Jake. Okay, so this system is systemically set up to grievously oppress Jake. Okay, because the people at the top, they understand that they, all right, they still feel swindled of a birthright. Okay, which this nigga sold the birthright. This is Genesis 25 and 22 says, and the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. So you have two nations, these twins, okay, these fraternal twins, not identical, okay, would be two nations of people, two totally different entire nations. Okay, and Jacob being the continuation of the sons of God, and Esau being the progenitor of the wicked. Okay, that's why Esau was associated with the wicked. Jacob is associated with being the son of God. Okay, it says, and the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb. So matter of fact, let's get there real quick. Okay, so you go to Exodus, you go on down, and this is after the ordeal with the birthright, showing you that it was always meant for Jacob to have the birthright anyway. Okay, because the Lord in the spirit, Jacob was first in the spirit. Okay, but the scenario in the flesh, all right, is they have the same father and mother, Isaac and Rebekah. Okay, and when they were born, Esau came out first, making him the firstborn in the flesh. But in the spirit, Israel was always the firstborn. Israel was superior. Okay, Exodus 4:22, and thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus said the Lord, how about Shema Shai, Israel is my first son, even my firstborn. Okay, so Israel is my son, even my firstborn. All right, so the Lord acknowledged Israel as his firstborn. All right, because Israel is the firstborn in the heavens, going back to what? The sons of God in the beginning. Okay, we always get it in the beginning, my firstborn. All right. It said Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, the Elohim created the heaven and earth. Okay, so you go here, let's deal with Elohim. Okay, and these are, okay, the sons of God, those first fruit. All right, Elohim. Okay, and it goes into rulers, judges, divine ones, angels, gods, God-like one. Okay, the sons of God, and she says like they have, she said like, black, when she say black people, like Jake have a special power. Well, because we're the Elohim, we're the divine ones, we're the sons of God, we're the God-like one, but we are being punished because of our disobedience. The scripture say you are gods, but you should die like men. Okay, but let's go here. Going back to Jake being the true firstborn. All right. So you go back to the beginning, which is Ra'ah Shayath. All right, Ra'ah Shayath. Okay, said first. You see that? Best, chief. You see, choice. Okay, because the sons of God, that's who are chosen by the Most High. Okay, the chief people in the earth, the best people in the earth are Israelites, man. Okay, and there's a responsibility that come with that. The Most High didn't just make us the best, to boast and, okay, dance and dunk all goddamn, dunk for forever. That ain't why we're the best. No, we're the best. We're the choice to rule in righteousness, man. Okay, and that's the aspect we fell from, the responsibility, of ruling in righteousness, man. Okay, because there's no doubt that we are superior people, not just athletically, but intellectually. Okay, and when it comes to being innovative, ingenuity, engineering, running the empire, administrative. Okay, Jake is superior. You see? So you go back and say for the same man, it said the first in place, time, order, or rank. Okay? The first fruit. So the lineage of the sons of God continued through Jacob. That's why his name was changed to Yasha Allah, he Prince of the Power. okay, of people set apart. And that's why we're singled out in the earth, because these devils know this. See, these devils know this, all right? And there was a rivalry created in the womb, okay? Let's go back to Genesis 25 and read 23. And it says, and the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. All right. So it was set up from the beginning that these devils were going to serve the younger, the Edomites, and the younger was Jacob. So it was always set up where we was going to get the last, okay, victory, man. Okay. In the end game, you devils is going to end up serving us, man, for 1,000 years straight before you're eradicated out the earth. And this is what the elites are trying to fight against, man. They want to undo Genesis 25. Okay, they want to rewrite. That's why they so. That's why these devils are trying to re-engineer creation and DNA. You see, they trying to rewrite this. They tap into your neural link, trying to tap into your spirit and mRNA, because these devils are trying to rewrite this. Okay, and they know, all right, that we have their birthright until this day. And now that these prophecies are coming to pass, man, okay, these devils are really pushing forward to try to throw up this new world order. Okay, they want to hijack the birthright. Okay, they want to forge their own birthright with their blessing, the sword, and their technology, man. Okay, so it called Jacob what the Lord called Jacob his firstborn. Okay, you go back into the beginning, said the Elohim, the divine ones, all right, someone chosen, okay, because Jake is singled out. When you go here, Deuteronomy 7:6, Jake is singled out by the Most High. Okay, Deuteronomy 7:6 says, for thou art an holy people unto me. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power. The Lord thy power have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Okay, so Israel was created to be above, and even in our lower state, okay, Jake still stand out. Okay, because we're the sons of God. Even 2/3, in their wicked estate, they still stand out amongst the heathen because they're sons of God. Okay, in every way. I say not just singing and dancing and athletically. Okay, but when it comes to engineering, because Jake ain't, because the type of nigga that American culture, creates today. Okay, but you got Jake in that element, man. That's why Jake was creating everything, man. Jake inventions. Okay, the things that make life easier, man. Majority of those inventions come from Jake. Okay, Esau has the resources, okay, to mass produce these things and innovate these things. Okay, but the mind behind the inventions, all right, a lot of it go back to Jake and the Israelite woman. The Israelite woman, even the home security camera, that was Eve. It was Eve who put that together. Okay, and it's much more than just throwing something out. All right, but as a people, we're above. Israelite man, woman, and child are above all these people of the earth. And the world sees that it's something different about us, man. Okay, but this devil has pushed, slander and propaganda along with the social engineering to where a lot of our people do, they do, all right, fulfill these negative stereotypes, to where now they do seem as if they're inferior and just naturally violent. Okay, so through social engineering, a lot of our people, they play into their narrative of the devil social engineering. Okay, but that still doesn't cover all Jake, man, because you got Jake that ain't like that. Okay, and then it's still obvious that Jake is above. Okay, Jake is just confused. Most of our people are confused. Okay, and misled. But the Lord created us to be an above people, and that's undeniable. Okay, that's why even, a more, organic, Jake going to Nigeria, they excel, in engineering. You see, mostly Judah. Okay, let's see. See if you give us something. So you go here, just go into let's go here real quick. So I just asked the chat, well, not the chat, Google. It says, as how well do Nigerian engineers do globally? It says Nigerian, all right, engineers are tech professionals, all right, and tech professionals are performing extremely well globally with a strong presence in UK, Canada, and the US, particularly in software, AI, and robotics. They are recognized for resilience and technical skill, contributing significantly to global projects and receiving a high volume of specialized talent visas. Okay, Nigerians making history, you know. so Jake is just a superior of people, even though Nigerians are impoverished, okay, but it's more organic. Jake, they have structure, tradition, okay, they have some type of culture about themselves to where it produces, okay, an exceptional Jake. You see, in all these Western nations, all right, they use these Nigerian engineers. So even what the devil is trying to do with AI and robotics, man, it's Jake that be masterminding and engineering these things, man. Okay, it is way bigger than LeBron James. Okay, said UK tech scene. Nigerian professionals are transforming the UK startup ecosystem, comprising roughly 10% of global talent. That's 10%. That's out of one country, 10%. Okay, out of the damn near 200 countries, so Nigeria is 10%. Okay, of global talent, visa grants, and ranking among the top 3 nations for such visas, alongside India and the U.S. They are also a significant source of talent for the UK skilled worker, health, and care visas. Okay, innovation in tech. Nigerians are increasingly driving innovation in robotics, AI, software development, with some experts noting their potential for high-level global impact. Okay, it says they have a hustle mentality. Nigerian engineers are noted for their ability to deliver results under challenging resource limited conditions, making them valuable assets to multinational projects. Okay, so that's just one example of how even in our lowest state, Jake is still superior, man. Okay, Jake is still above. It's just Jake don't have the knowledge. Jake don't have the spirit. A lot of our people don't have the spirit. Okay, and we're above for the sake of ruling in righteousness, man. Okay, And these devils, see, even just these everyday Edomites, they can't pinpoint it. But a confident Jake is a threat. You see, that's why Esau is comfortable when niggas are acting like monkeys and inferior and dumb and talking like a zombie. Like when the niggas talking like NBA young boy, whispering and mumbling. Okay. Standing like, niggas standing with no posture. See, Esau is cool with that. Okay, as long as it's at the distance. Esau was okay with that. But Jake confident and sure of himself, and you see, he knows things, and he's polished. Like Esau is threatened. When Jake ain't kissing Esau ass, Esau feel threatened. Like, what's wrong with this nigga? Okay, the average Edomite that don't know how deep this goes with the birthright. Okay, and it says now when you go down, Genesis 25 and 24 says, "And her days to be delivered were fulfilled. Behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red." All right, Esau, and that's how we know this devil, the so-called white man, because what his blood, okay, it shows through his skin. No melanin, no pigment. Okay, all over like a hairy garment. He wasn't hairy, all right, but they compared him to a red garment. Okay, and it says, and they called his name Esau, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. Okay, and his name was called Jacob, and Isaac was 80 years old. Okay, when she bare them. Okay, so Jacob came out, and he wasn't described because he was normal. He looked like everyone else, color, okay, brown skin. You see, Esau stood out because of his appearance, just like today. They're the only people, okay, that look how they look. Now you do have Edomites that look like other nations now because this nigga has mingled his seed, okay, but that the authentic Edomite look is that of the so-called white man, woman, and child. Okay, now when you jump down to Genesis 25 and 29, it says, "And Jacob sighed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, that same, all right, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore, his name called Edom. And Jacob said, Sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, Behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do unto me?" Okay, so Esau, Edom, this devil, he came from hunting, and he was tired. He wanted a quick meal. Okay, Jacob was already cooking, so he inquired about something to eat, and Jake finessed him out the birthright. Well, that was Jacob's birthright anyway, because remember, we just read in Exodus, the Lord acknowledged Jacob as his firstborn. Okay? It says, and Esau said, Behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do unto me? And Jacob said, Swear to me this day. And he swore unto him and sold the birthright unto Jacob. So he sold his birthright for a quick meal. Okay? He was like, Look, what's the birthright do to me now? I'm hungry right now. You can have a birthright, man. Give me something to eat. Okay? So he was an impulsive nigga, man. And that's why he gets a kick on Jake selling out for the right now. Esau gets off on Jake selling out to him, and forfeiting their birthright as Israelites, man. Okay, which eventually, these niggas are gonna come into the kingdom through the righteous, through the remnant. Okay, but they gonna have to go through a punishment. Okay, and then C-Hip that's the ultimate sellout. That this MOTB, this micro C-Hip, that's the ultimate sellout that the devil is going to present to the world. And a lot of Jakes are going to take that, man. Okay, but verse 34 said, Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage and lentils, and he did eat and drink and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Okay, so Esau thought nothing of it. He got that pottage and lentil, bread, he had that meal, and just rolled off into the sunset. No birthright. Didn't think nothing of it, man. So you Edomite should be mad at the man Esau. Okay? You should be mad at this nigga Esau, man. All right, he didn't give a damn about y'all ass, man. He wanted that meal. Okay? And that's the nature of you devils too, is to you don't care about one another. You devils don't give a damn about one another, man. Okay? So you go here, the devil sold the birthright. So when you get to Genesis, just to get to the point, all right, Genesis 27. So Jacob is blessed with everything, all right, and then Jacob, okay, goes on by his way. Okay, so after Jacob was blessed with everything, okay, he got the birthright, got the blessing, okay, and he went out of there, man. You see, Genesis 27 and 30 says, And it came to pass as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac. So Jacob just hit the corner on that nigga, man. Esau probably seen the back of their fro, just hit the corner on that nigga, man. And the Lord set that up, through Rebecca, man. You see? It says, And Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac, his father, that Esau, his brother, came in from hunting. Okay? So by the time that Esau come back from hunting, Jacob is already blessed, man. Rebecca, the Lord had Rebecca to put the play together, man. Shout out to our foremother Rebecca, man. Shout out OG Becca, man. You see? And it says that Esau, his brother, came in from his hunting, and he also made savory meat and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it me? And I have eaten all before thou camest and have blessed him. And yeah, he shall be blessed. Isaac doubled down on it. Yeah, and he shall be blessed. Like, look, I already blessed whoever that was, and he gonna be blessed. So the spirit was on Isaac to double down on that blessing. Okay? And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me, O father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety and have taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is not his name rightly Jacob, which means to supplant, okay, supplanter? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and he didn't take it away, he sold it. This lying nigga here, man. Okay? It says, And behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said to Esau, Behold, I have made him thy Lord. Okay? And it's in these devil's spirit, man. We they Lord, man. You see, Esau don't feel inferior. He don't feel superior around a confident Jake. And there's another thing. Jake's spirit is way stronger than Esau, man. And Esau don't feel inferior. Esau don't feel superior around a confident Jake. And that's why this whole system is set up, all right, to keep Jake with low confidence, to be broken. That's why the nigga woman was weaponized, to keep Jake broken. She was a major part of Esau's weaponry. Okay, she was a major tool in Esau's toolkit to keep the Israelite man broken, man. Okay, doubting himself, man. You see? With an Israelite man that's confident, okay, that don't look at this nigga as superior. When you don't look at Esau as superior, this nigga is threatened, man. And that nigga don't feel superior around a confident Jake, man. That's why he's immediately threatened. Okay? Because he's not superior, man. This nigga's inferior by far. It says, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, with corn and wine have I sustained him. So we're going to have rulership of the earth, man. We're going to have possession of the people of the earth. And it's going to be in righteousness, man. First 1,000 years is to break up wickedness that's been instilled in these heathen by this devil. Okay? And we're going to have the fatness of the earth, man, the abundance of resources. Okay? And with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? Like, I gave him everything. Yeah, he got everything, even you. You know? And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing? My father bless me, even me, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. And by the sword, it says, and by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Okay? So Esau was blessed with the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth, but it's temporal. You see, because you can read in the scriptures, and it had his kingdom has an ending. You see, there's an end written to his kingdom. In our kingdom, there ain't no end. It's an everlasting kingdom. You see, so when you get into the blessing of Esau, well, it sounds similar to the blessing of Jacob. But the major difference is what? Esau's is temporal. Okay, our blessing is eternal. And this is why the devil is trying to tap into immortality by left-hand means, because he doesn't have it by birthright. We have immortality by birthright. You see, we're promised to be changed at the return of Yahushua in the twinkling of an eye. Okay, this nigga got to cut your skull open, and the brain computer interface, and you know, this nigga got to put his spirit on the cloud and all that. You know, he got to do that, man. We have immortality by birthright. This nigga got to try to force it, man, and he's far short. Okay, it says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob. Okay, so you go into this ancient hatred that these devils have for us. This goes back to this, man. So Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing. And these everyday Edomites know that we're a blessed people. All right, and that's why this devil, you know, he has, you know, to constantly push propaganda and slander. All right, and he constantly, you know, puts the camera on the worst of our people, as if that's all of our people, man. You know, and these elites know, all right, and that's one thing that has them hurt, is that we awaken to their birthright, man. Okay, even just knowing we was Israelites, you know, was a threat to the devil. But when we began to talk about their birthright, man, that's when this nigga started to really kick it into gear with this new world order, man. Okay, so that hatred goes back to Genesis, and we're seeing it play out today. You know, the devil is pissed because of the birthright. Okay, and it's just in you, Edomite spirits, to hate Jacob. Okay, but the Lord's getting ready to come and judge, man. You see, the Lord's getting ready to come judge, man, and we've awakened to who we are. All right, Yahushua is coming to punish the enemy and establish their birthright. Okay, what she said, we have a special, you know, spiritual connection. All right, because we're the sons of God. We're His people. Okay, let's go here. She said, look like, y'all got this special spiritual connection. Well, let's go here. Romans 8 and let's start at 14. It said Romans 8 and 14, for as many as are led by the Spirit of the Most High, they are the sons of God. And this is the elect of Israel, all right, beginning with the men called to teach and preach his word, to prophesy, are being what? Led by the Spirit. We're descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob physically, and we're being led by the Spirit of the Most High, okay, to do his will. Okay, so the sons of God are back. Okay, it says, for ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. Okay, and we always go into this word, okay, adoption. And you go into the word adoption. Okay, in the Greek is
Strong's G 5206. We are Thesia. We are Thesia.
Okay, adoption. All right. Now, when you go into it, says the relationship which the Most High was pleased to establish between Himself and the Israelites, in the presence to all, in preference to all other nations. Okay, the relationship which the Most High was pleased to establish between Himself and the Israelites, in preference to all other nations, man. Okay, so we've been adopted back in as Israelites. Okay, his sons. So there's a remnant amongst Israel that he's adopted back in to be his sons in these latter days. Okay, and said the Spirit itself bear witness with our spirit. Okay, and these people know we got a different spirit on us, man. Okay, the earth knows. You see, it said that we are the children of the Most High. Okay, so the Spirit, okay, of this book bears witness with the Spirit that's within us, and we are the children of the Most High. That's why no one cleaves to the Bible like the sons of God. Okay, and we're getting ready to be glorified with the Most High. Romans 8 and 17, it says, and their children then heirs of the Most High, and joint heirs with Hamashiach, if so be that we suffer with him, we may be also glorified together. So we suffer, with Yahweh Shai now. Okay, because even amongst our people, okay, we're outcasts. We're already outcasts by default just for being Israelites in this systemic, okay, oppressive system, man. So we are already outcasts on the global stage because of, the devil, which goes back to our disobedience and punishment, to be and above people, to be the sons of God, but to be in captivity, in the tail of captivity, is a punishment, is a chastisement, man. Okay? But as we suffer through these afflictions and even being, we come to the truth, even being outcast amongst our own people, what is going to lead us to being glorified with Yahweh Shai, because he had to endure that too. Okay? When he came, during the time of Rome, and these Edomites was in power. Romans 8 and 18, for I reckon that the suffering of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us, man. And the Lord is going to change us, man, to gods in the earth, man. We're going to be walking around as gods in the earth, man. Those new bodies, immortals, okay, power and wisdom like the earth has never, has never seen, man. So we have a glory that awaits us as the sons of God. All right, and Yahweh Shai, he's going to come and set that right. He's going to come and wage war against Esau and the heathen. Okay, and he's coming to deliver a remnant of his people. And through that remnant, he's going to start a righteous dynasty, an eternal dynasty. We're going to have, we're going to receive the promise of Genesis, man. Okay. and it's coming soon. So, yeah, that was the point. Just wanted to get into that. Lord will, you brothers. All right, and you sisters edified. Till next time, I say shalom. Kwam Yashala. Bob soon. Shalom.